get a raise. Finally, after months or years of waiting, your income goes up. You feel relief. You feel like you've made progress. You think this is the moment things get easier. This is when you start saving, when you build something, when you finally get ahead. But then a few months pass, and nothing has changed. You're still living paycheck to paycheck. You still have no savings. You're still stressed about money. The only difference is that now you're spending more, and you can't figure out why the raise didn't fix anything. This is the income illusion, the belief that earning more money will solve your financial problems. And it's one of the most destructive beliefs in personal finance because it feels so logical. More money should mean more security. More money should mean less stress. More money should mean progress. But for most people, it doesn't. Because the problem was never the income. The problem is the behavior. And behavior doesn't change just because the number on your paycheck goes up. When you earn more, your lifestyle expands to match it. This isn't a conscious decision. You don't sit down and think, now that I make more, I'm going to spend more. It just happens. You upgrade your apartment because you can afford it now. You eat out more because you don't have to count every dollar. You buy better clothes, better gadgets, better everything. Not because you need them, but because you can. And because everyone else at your income level does. You're just keeping up. But keeping up costs money, and the more you earn, the more it costs to keep up. This is called lifestyle creep, and it's the reason people who make 6 figures can be just as broke as people who make 30,000. Because they're not broke because they don't earn enough. They're broke because they spend everything they earn. And when your spending rises as fast as your income, you never build anything. You just live at a higher level of expense with the same level of financial stress. The psychology behind this is simple. Humans adapt. You get used to your current situation, and then you want more. It's called the hedonic treadmill. You work hard to get the raise, to get the promotion, to get the better job. And when you get it, you feel good for a minute, then you adjust. The new normal becomes normal, and you start wanting the next thing, the better car, the bigger house, the nicer vacation. You think achieving the next level will finally make you feel secure. But it doesn't, because security doesn't come from earning more. It comes from spending less than you earn and building a gap between the two. Most people never build that gap. They increase their income and their expenses at the same time. And because they feel like they're working harder and earning more, they assume they're doing well. But doing well isn't about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And if you're keeping nothing, you're not doing well. You're just running faster on the same treadmill. Here's the hard truth. If you can't save money at your current income, you won't save money at a higher income. Because saving isn't about how much you make, it's about how you think about money. It's about whether you prioritize building over consuming. And if consuming is your default, more income just means more consumption. You don't suddenly become disciplined because you got a raise. You become disciplined by practicing discipline. And if you've never practiced it, you don't magically develop it when the paycheck gets bigger. Let's talk about the stories people tell themselves. Once I make X amount, I'll start saving. Once I pay off this debt, I'll start investing. Once I get the promotion, I'll get serious about money. These are lies. Not intentional lies, but lies nonetheless. Because the behavior you practice now is the behavior you'll have later. If you're not saving now, even a little, you won't save later. You'll just find new reasons not to. New expenses. New priorities, new things that feel more urgent than building wealth. The income illusion convinces you that the solution is always more. More hours, more hustle, more income streams. And sure, earning more can help, but only if you manage it differently than you managed the money before. If you don't, you're just creating more cash flow through the same broken system. You're pouring water into a leaky bucket and wondering why it never fills up. Another layer of this illusion is comparison. When you earn more, you start comparing yourself to people who earn more. You move up a bracket. and suddenly your reference point changes. You're no longer comparing yourself to where you were. You're comparing yourself to where you think you should be. And where you think you should be is always just a little higher than where you are. So you spend to match that image. You spend to look successful, to feel successful. But looking successful and being successful are not the same thing. Looking successful costs money. Being successful requires keeping money. Social media makes this worse. You see people at your income level traveling, buying things, living a certain way, and you assume they can afford it. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. But you don't see their bank account, you don't see their debt, you don't see the stress behind the curated image. You just see the lifestyle, and you want it, so you spend to create your own version. And every time you do, you move further from actual financial stability. Here's what nobody wants to hear. You don't need to earn more to build wealth. You need to keep more of what you earn. And keeping more means spending less. It means living below your means. It means resisting the urge to upgrade every time your income goes up. It means staying in the smaller apartment even though you can afford the bigger one. It means keeping the old car even though you can finance a new one. It means choosing future security over present comfort. And most people won't do that because it feels like deprivation. It feels like going backwards. But it's not, it's discipline. And discipline is what separates people who build wealth from people who just look like they have it. Now let's talk about how this plays out in real life. You get a $500 raise. Your take-home goes up by maybe $300 after taxes. That's $300 extra a month. Enough to start building, enough to save, to invest, to create a buffer. But instead you sign up for a car payment, or you move to a more expensive place, or you start spending more on food, entertainment, clothes, and within weeks, that $300 is gone, absorbed into your lifestyle. And you're back where you started. Same stress, same lack of savings, same cycle. The opportunity cost of this is massive. $300 a month invested over 10 years is over $45,000, assuming a 7% return. Over 20 years, it's over $150,000. That's life-changing money, that's financial security, that's freedom. But you traded it for a slightly nicer lifestyle that you'll forget about in 6 months, because upgrades stop feeling like upgrades. They just become your new baseline. And then you want the next thing. This is why people who make a lot of money can still be financially fragile. They have a high income, but they also have high expenses, high rent, high car payments, high everything. And when something goes wrong, a job loss, a medical issue, an economic downturn, they have nothing to fall back on because they've been spending everything. They assumed the income would always be there, but income is never guaranteed. Expenses are. So what do? First, you lock in your lifestyle. When you get a raise, pretend you didn't. Keep living at the same level. Keep spending the same amount. And take the difference, the entire difference, and save it. Invest it. Build with it. Don't let it touch your checking account. Automate it. Make it invisible, because if you see it, you'll spend it. That's how humans work. But if it never enters your spending pool, you'll adapt. You'll keep living the way you were living, and you'll be building wealth without feeling deprived. Second, define what enough looks like. Most people never do this. They just keep chasing more income, more stuff, more status, but more is infinite. You'll never reach it. You'll never feel satisfied. So you have to define enough. What apartment is enough? What car is enough? What lifestyle is enough? And once you hit that, you stop upgrading. You maintain, and everything above that line goes toward building wealth. This requires self-awareness and discipline, but it's the only way to get off the treadmill. Third, track your spending relative to your income. Not just how much you spend, but what percentage of your income you're spending. If you're spending 95% of what you earn, it doesn't matter if you make $50,000 or $500,000. You're one bad month away from trouble. The goal is to widen the gap, to spend 70%, 60%, 50% of what you earn. The wider the gap, the more you build. The more you build, the more secure you become. Fourth, resist social pressure. This is hard because everyone around you is upgrading. Everyone is spending. Everyone is living at or above their means. And if you don't, you feel like you're missing out. You feel like you're behind. But you're not behind. You're just on a different path. A path that leads to actual security instead of the appearance of it. And the people who judge you for that are the same people who will be stressed, broke, and stuck 10 years from now while you're free. Fifth, redefine success. Success is not a bigger house or a fancier car. Success is freedom. It's having options. It's being able to say no to a bad job, yes to an opportunity, or nothing at all because you don't need to work if you don't want to. That's what wealth buys, not stuff, freedom. And you don't get freedom by spending everything you earn. You get it by keeping most of what you earn and building with it over time. The income illusion is powerful because it feels true. It feels like the problem is that you don't make enough. And maybe that's part of it. But for most people, the real problem is that they don't keep enough. They don't build. They don't create a gap. They just earn and spend on repeat forever. And then they wonder why they're still stressed about money after a decade of raises and promotions. The truth is, no amount of income will fix a spending problem. If you can't manage 50,000, you can't manage 100,000. If you can't manage 100,000, you can't manage 200,000. The number changes. The behavior doesn't. And behavior is everything. So the next time you get a raise, don't. Celebrate by spending it. Celebrate by saving it. Lock it away. Pretend it doesn't exist. And watch what happens over time. Watch your net worth grow. Watch your stress decrease. Watch your options expand. Because that's what money is supposed to do. It's supposed to create security. But it can't do that if you spend it all. The income illusion tells you that more money is the answer. But the real answer is better behavior. And better behavior starts with recognizing that earning more won't save you, only keeping more will.